Dear friends, so how are you doing today? I'm Mark Golub. I hope every one of you is weathering this storm of pandemic we're in these days. And I hope that in some small way, JBS has been a comfort to you. When we were all told to self-quarantine, to separate ourselves from virtually all the people who matter to us, especially our children, our grandchildren, good friends, I said that JBS would be with you. I know that for those of you who are living alone, who are in the older demographic that's more vulnerable to the coronavirus, I know how frightening it can be and how lonely it can be. Well, for me, I feel that all of you are family to me. You know, so many of you send me the loveliest and sweetest of emails and letters. I've received wonderful letters. And in my mind, they represent the vast majority of you who are watching. And I look into this camera, and I see you there, and I feel as if I'm with you, and I hope that my feelings somehow come through to you. I can't physically be with you, wherever you are right now watching JBS. But in some strange and wonderfully mysterious way, I am with you. Every one of us here at JBS is with you. And we're going to do our very best to bring you hours and hours of quality Jewish programming to ease the burdens we all must endure for however long it takes. So I hope you know how much I care about you, and how much Dara and Shachar and Tisha and Carol and Sloan and Michael and John and Albert and Edith and David and Ruth, how everyone here at JBS cares about you and wishes you only good health for years and years and years, well beyond this coronavirus pandemic. And there is good news around the edges. In many places throughout America, we seem to be past the peak of the virus's effects. The separation that we all participated in has in fact accomplished its purpose, which was to keep our hospitals from being overrun with corona cases to the point that it could not take care of all who needed care. And kol hakavod to every woman and man who's been on the front lines of hospital care for the ill, the heroic doctors, the fabulous nurses, the aides, the orderlies. All of it. It's been very hard on them. Physically, emotionally. Many have come down with the virus. But they're all doing divine work. They are the hand of God in our world. And if anyone ever took a doctor or nurse or medical professional in any field of medicine for granted, boy, I hope that's long gone. And the good news is that while it's been terribly hard and taxing on them, our medical system has held up. The curve we were asked to help create has, for the most part, been able to keep our medical system's capacity intact. And the number of deaths, once predicted in the millions by August, has now been revised to under 100,000, maybe as low as 60,000. And that's still a tragic number of deaths. And for any family who's suffering a death, that death is worth everything. It's all the deaths. It's not about the number. It's about each family's pain and loss if someone they knew, loved, was part of their family, was taken by the coronavirus. But the number 60,000 is far below other causes of death in America. And all that's good news. It's also good news that those of us who've followed the rules, we've stayed home, we've been safe from the virus. Well, it's hard not to feel that the virus is everywhere. I've said it before, that it's like it's seeping under the door. It's coming through the window. As some have written, we feel it's in our hair, on our clothes. It's not true. If you're following the rules, you are safe. And you may feel isolated and lonely or stir crazy, but you're still safe. Which is also why we're seeing the first bit of reopening of society in places where the virus seems to be a minimal threat. And as more and more people re-enter life, wearing masks, maintaining social distance, our economy may begin to come back to life. And thank heaven for that. So one thing's for sure. We've learned that we shouldn't be out in the world without wearing a mask. And we've all seen that some very creative people of all ages have posted really wonderful videos poking fun at some of the ways in which we're trying to cope with the coronavirus. And recently I was sent another video, which I find to be marvelous. It's by a young woman named Abby Goldfarb, who takes the song we all know so well from Fiddler on the Roof, Matchmaker, Matchmaker, which is sung by Tevye's 3 oldest daughters. And Abby plays all the roles herself, and she does her version, which she entitles Maskmaker, Maskmaker. Here is Abby's video.
Maskmaker, Maskmaker, make me a mask. Any design, please sew it fast. Maskmaker, Maskmaker, it's the new look. If only that's all it took.
Maskmaker, Maskmaker,
Cotton is fine, just cover my face. It's finally come time to wear them on walks to the store while you drive. We don't need N95s. We all should still keep our distance, though this mask will cover a cough. For me, well, it's not about me, but if you are asking, I'll try to stay tough. Maskmaker, Maskmaker, make me a mask. Amazon's out, Etsy's a task. It's been a month since we've married our phones, so sew me a mask of my own. Since when have you ever worn a mask, Corona? I thought you preferred sunglasses. And you have 10,000 different headbands.
Well, why not? We only have one head. I want to look cool.
Because fashion is not important right now. So whatever the mask maker makes you, you'll wear it. Right? Of course, right. COVID, oh COVID, have I made a mask for you? It's stretchy, it's soft. Okay, it stinks of glue, but it's a fine size, a bright hue. True? True. I know it might be smelly, and even if it's hot, put it on you stacked. Cover up your snot. Corona! 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 I found it. Now you get to go outside. It's spandex. It's cute. Okay, no, that's a lie. But it's a fine mask, a bit tight, right? Right. And no, you can't reuse it. You'll need a new one every night. It's it's only temporary. So let's not fight. Now we cover up your face, 'cause it's not too much to ask. With no touching, no parties, no steady employment, be glad you got a mask.
Maskmaker, Maskmaker, you know that I don't like the outside, so please, take your time.
Up to this minute, I thought that I could go maskless and still be good. It's clear now we will be covered unless we stay safe inside. It's not that we were against them, it's just that we hadn't tried. Maskmaker, Maskmaker, we will pull through. What did you say? I can't hear you. It's 'cause I'm wearing my mask now, you fools. So go get a shirt, fold it 2 times. This line is here so that it rhymes. I've made my own mask and it looks fine.
Just marvelous. Maskmaker, Maskmaker. And recently I had the chance to chat with Abby Goldfarb, who's a most lovely young woman. I want you to hear my conversation with her. Abby Goldfarb. Abby,
Hi.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here on JBS.
I want to know a little bit about you. Where are you in life these days?
So I am living in New York City. I live in Midtown East, and
Did you grow up in New York?
I did grow up in New York, actually. I grew up in the West Village downtown, and I've kind of fallen in love with it, and I stayed here.
Very nice. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Packer Collegiate Institute in Brooklyn Heights on Jerome Street for high school. And then for college, I went to Emerson College in Boston.
So what was your major at Emerson?
My major was musical theater. So a Bachelor of Fine Arts in musical theater. Set me up for basically musical theater.
Got it.
And I am a working actor. Well, not currently right now, as nothing is happening right now, of course. But I just recently finished working for a year and a half in Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish, directed by Joel Grey, and that was off-Broadway at Stage 42 and first at the Museum of Jewish Heritage.
What had you done before that that qualified you to be in an off-Broadway, and then really it was just a hair off-Broadway show?
Essentially, yeah. I actually worked with some amazing Boston actors in the community in Boston, doing a lot of actually original Jewish shows, one written by Robert Brustein, who actually was started Yale. He was the dean at Yale School of Drama in the 70s, and he started American Repertory Theater. And him and a few other veteran Boston actors and I did a show called King of Second Avenue that he had written with a man named Hank Snetsky, who's huge in the klezmer world. Yeah, and the director of that, when we actually did it at New Repertory Theater, was Mottel Didner, who is the Associate Artistic Director at the National Yiddish Theater. So I had known Mottel for 4 or 5 years. That was in like 2014. And I had then I did a show off Broadway at the York Theater here on the Upper East, or 50s in the East Side, called Milk and Honey. We did like a 2-week run of that. I worked on cruise ships, and then I got this opportunity to get in the room there, and I auditioned. And at first, I didn't get cast in the original, like when they first started, but once they realized that they had to extend the show because of popularity, I was in the first wave of new cast members. So they realized they needed understudies. So off I went, and a year and a half later, we closed the show, and I was there for the whole process, and it was pretty remarkable, life-changing, remarkable, all those words.
By the way, Mazal Tov to you. Abby, how was it life-changing, though?
I actually was a living, working actor in New York able to, pretty much exist in life and pay for things and not have a worry.
You were making a living in the theater.
Yeah, and that was a huge deal. And it felt like it was the big leagues or something. And I was a small part of it, but the people were incredible, and the camaraderie and just the family we created there. I have friends that I still talk to on a daily basis from the show. And now when I go in a room, it's like the first thing everyone talks about. And it's so, I'm humbled and I'm honored to have been part of something that, gave so much joy to so many people. And
I am thrilled for you.
Thank you.
Incidentally, when I saw your video, I imagined you as younger. You have a very good look. So I don't know how many years are you out of Emerson?
Oh, many. Yeah, I'm in my late 20s. I'm almost 29. Okay. Well, 28 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is your goal to be in professional theater?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've loved comedy, and I love like traditional Broadway musical theater comedy. That's sort of always been my niche. And so when this happened, I was bored at home, and I started trying to, and laughter is it truly is medicine. And I actually believe that. So I just started making parodies because I wanted to just write something or do something. And then it kind of caught on, and then, here we are. So anything where I can create something and, be able to entertain is sort of where I want to be. But of course I want to be in professional theater.
I understand you say
as much as I can.
You say it very, very well. By the way, were you, before the Yiddish version,
yes,
were you ever in a production of Fiddler?
I was, directed by Austin Pendleton, who was the original Mottel on Broadway, actually. And he was just in the minutes on Broadway, but he was my lovely director in Boston, also at New Repertory Theater, and I played Seitel there.
How did your parents feel about the fact that you wanted to go into theater? Because it's a very hard profession, and it's a profession where very often you have no idea if you're going to be able to, as you say, make a living from week to week.
That's a really good question, and I happen to have a very unique and very supportive family. It's unique in the sense that I grew up with two moms in the West Village, and my life was always a little different and always a little unique, and they loved and supported me in anything that I wanted to do. And I think they also were like, she's decent at this. She's not bad. Like, I think if I had really been horrible, they would have said something. They're not like, my mom's really realistic, but, it is hard, but I've always made it work with other side jobs too. And, I'm lucky to have a family that is so supportive. And recently, what's been amazing is that I had another show this summer that I was extremely excited to do, and it's been postponed. And I have another show up the pipeline coming in actually at the Yiddish Theater Harmony. It's the new Barry Manilow musical that's been in the works for a while, and we did a workshop of it. Warren Carlyle directed, and hopefully it will come this new year in January and February if things are back to normal. But yeah, my mom and I are very, very close, and I am extremely lucky to have.
I'm very happy for you. Tell me this, was there any Jewish flavor to your home growing up?
Yeah.
Bowie, do you have any siblings?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
So growing up, what was the Jewish tenor of your home?
Well, with a name like Abigail Sarah Goldfarb, it's very clear that I'm Jewish just from my name. And my hair's up right now, but it's like really curly, and you can see from the video. And I think, well, my grandparents, immigrated and came to the Lower East Side in Brooklyn from Eastern Europe, and right before World War II. And it's always been in my blood, in my cultural life, but very non-practicing. Like, you would say, we had a Seder on Passover, but then that was kind of it. But it feels more of, it's like in my heart than.
All right, it's a cultural bond.
It's cultural.
Yes?
for me. Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
I understand completely. But there is a way in which, for most Jews today are cultural Jews more than they are observant Jews, or what is misnomered religious Jews. And the issue is, do they have a Jewish identity? Do they see themselves as part of the Jewish world? And do they appreciate the Jewishness of their family and their background?
Yes.
All of that seems true for you, correct?
For sure. Yes, I've ended up here, and I'm happy to be here.
Oh, well, you're a real pro, so I understand why the video was so terrific. By any chance, could you do for us a little bit of Matchmaker in Yiddish?
Sure, yes. It's a challenge, but I can. I will do Seidel's part, when she's talking to Hodel as Yenta.
Great.
So you can imagine me impersonating Jackie Hoffman in our case. So, Hodel, oi Hodel, hab a Schidderpunkt vor dir, a schöner und jung, a 60er mit 4 Oberachos, das ist stimmt? Stimmt, mit Masel und mit Broche wirst du zu begehen, und was wird sein als nein? Ich weiß nicht allein. More?
No, that's one. You are wonderful.
Thank you, Mark.
Congratulations again for the video. You do parodies, and you say you write this stuff all the time. You going to do another thing that you could do for us at some point in the future?
Yes.
Anything you do, you promise you send to me.
Send it. I'll send it. I've done a few since, and they're all on my YouTube channel, so I'll forward them to you. I promise.
All right. I look forward to seeing them. It has just been wonderful to have you here on JBS. You're a very talented woman, and I hope I see you. I see you at the Actors Equity Building, and then I hope I see you on Broadway or off Broadway, whatever. And I hope you always stay in touch with me and with JBS, and if there are things you can do that it would be good for us to show, and just bring people some joy in this very difficult time. It would be wonderful of you. But Abby, I thank you so very, very much for being with us on JBS.
Thank you so much for having me and asking me to come on. I appreciate it. Take care.
Abby Goldfarb, a delightful young woman who's created a wonderful parody, Maskmaker. I'm glad I got to show it to you. So let's look at the rough coronavirus numbers for April 22nd. Here in the United States, since yesterday, there's only been a 3% rise in diagnosed cases to 837,000, with a 9% rate of recovery and a fatality rate holding at 5.5%. While in Israel, there was also only a 3% rise in diagnosed cases, while the recovery rate rose another 3% to 35%. And the death rate in Israel remains only 1%, as there were only 5 deaths in Israel since yesterday. And it bears repeating. These numbers are overwhelming. More than 46,000 deaths in the United States attributed to the coronavirus. At the same time, the numbers are far, far less severe than we had anticipated. In terms of the American population, this represents 0.01%. That's 1 in 10,000. And there is a decreasing number of people dying from the disease. And this is good news. And this should make every one of us feel a bit safer, though it doesn't lessen the importance of our sticking by the rules. Staying home as much as possible, wearing a mask and gloves if we go out, wiping down with disinfectant anything that enters our home or on any surface in our home where we may place something from outside, and washing our hands with soap for no less than 20 seconds anytime we re-enter the home or touch something that's been brought into the home. And I'm sure that's what we're all doing. And remember, if there is someone whom you'd like mentioned for a Mazel Tov on a Simcha or an Amisha Berach list, mentioning those who are ill and whom we hope will be blessed with Refuah Shlema, complete healing, or if you have a Yortzeit name and no synagogue setting in which it could be read, please send me those names and I will be privileged to read them here on JBS. Any information may be sent to jbscommunity@jbstv.org. And if you wish to be in touch with me directly, you can email me at rabbigolub@jbstv.org. And Alan, the retired New York City high school teacher and Hebrew school teacher and USY Youth Director, thank you for your wonderful words about L'chaim with Moshe Avital, whom I wholeheartedly agree is an incredible person who speaks most powerfully about her survival in the Shoah. And thank you, Alan, also for your financial support of JBS. During this pandemic, we're really in need of the support of every one of you who enjoys JBS and appreciates the contribution this channel is making to Jewish life today. Please consider using your tzedakah dollars to help us sustain the work we're doing on behalf of Klal Yisrael. And the Yasher Koach to David Macklis and all those who created this year's virtual March of the Living, which we were honored to premiere here as a television exclusive on JBS. And check your listings. If you missed our first showing of this year's March of the Living, do yourself a favor and be sure to catch one of our encore presentations here on JBS. My thanks as always to our director Sloan Copeland, and until the next time, I'm Mark Golub. Stay safe and be well, my friends.